Hello, Mandy. What can I do for you?
Can you help me with part 5 of the assignment, the term paper?
I can do that for you, but why are you even doing it? You can't even get past an F. You can't. There's no possible way for you to pass. Well, if I gave you every point that's available, you wouldn't even get the 55 points, 55%. I mean, you're just wasting your time. What help do you need? I mean, quite honestly, if I look at your part 4, you don't have a whole lot to write up about because you're missing big portions of the last part. The stuff that where you can actually go back and review how you've done isn't even there. And even if I gave you the full 10 points on it, and even if I give you 5 points on the discussion board, you're still only going to get to, let's see, 105 out of 200 points, which is approximately 52%. So if you want to write it, that's perfectly fine. I'll be happy to tell you about it. But I mean, you're just kind of wasting time. So what do you need to know about it?
For the part 4, I would So is it not possible for you to give me an incomplete for the class, or do I really need to retake the class?
You'd have to take the class anyway, and no, I can't give you an incomplete. I can't give an incomplete just so somebody doesn't fail.
Mm-hmm.
So, they told you that even the trio person told you couldn't possibly pass. I tried to give you a break and let you turn in things way late. When I tell you can't turn them in late, you turn them incomplete and late and incomplete and late. There's not a whole lot I can do. I went back and looked. The psychometric thing, 6 days late. Part 1, 3 days late. Part 2, 21 days late, although I gave you an extension. You might have made it on time with that. Then on part 3, you were 14 days after the extension, and still with part 8, you were 2 days after the extension. So I told you couldn't turn in anything late, and you just kept doing it anyway. So honestly, you can't, even if I gave you a D, you would have to take the course again, and I'm not going to give you a D because you're way too far off of the 60% to even get there.
Mm. Oh, then if I were to retake this course again, would I need you to authorize it for this class for me to put in my registration?
I would think you could try registering again. But if you end up getting something that says you can't get in, then you just let me know and I'll put in an override for you to get back in.
Okay.
Now, I don't know, you might have to wait until after the semester is done and the grades are posted, then come back in. I don't know whether I can give you an override that will help you right now. How are you doing in 341?
For the 41, right now I need to do her final and I need to catch up on the journals.
Yeah. But what kind of a grade do you think you're going to get in there?
Around, no, I'm not really sure. But
Well, let me make a suggestion to you. Well, here's what I want to suggest to you.
Mhm.
Or you take 343 again, take 340. And the reason you're taking 341 this semester, right?
Yes, I am.
So you take 340 so that you get through the techniques of teaching English as a second language. I'm not sure who gave you the override or the authority to get into this class, but basically you were supposed to take and finish either 341 or 340. You failed 341 or you got a D in it, and now you're retaking it. And but you don't have any teaching background, so it's pretty hard to figure out how you're going to assess students if you don't know how you're going to teach them.
Okay.
So my suggestion, if you pass 341, then you'll have the prerequisites that you need, and you can sign up for 343. But just as a common sense thing, I would suggest you make sure you do 340, how to teach the class, before you start trying to figure out how you're going to assess your students.
Okay.
That'd just be my suggestion.
um, uh, uh, then can we go over my part 3 of my paper?
I'm not. Your part 3 of your paper? I don't have access to it, but let's see what we got. Hang on a minute. Let me share this here. Okay, so as you see on here, you're 22 days late when you turned it in, right? And I had given you an opportunity to do it in 8 days, if I'm correct. And so you were actually 14 days later than you were authorized. So there's no points to be gained by that. And let's see. So I'm just going to skip part 1 and part 2. So you get down to part 3, develop this assessment items. Okay, so you're going to have a use of vocabulary, fill out the graphic organizer, sentence writing. Students will write sentences with vocabulary words. The students will be able to draw. Okay, so those assessment items. There's another assessment item though, I think. Students are using AD they learn while speaking to the teacher. Okay, so that covers that. Sentences studying that, understandable, well spoken. All right. Student will be able to draw, explain to the teacher their feelings. Okay. Students will be able to write sentences. So the mock interview with students. How the students' vocabulary. Okay, so you're gonna have a mock interview with the student, and notes from the student's therapist. Okay, that's good. And the graphic organizer. Okay, that's okay. We got those. Tasks, the students will write sentences. Beam, 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 beam. Students will create 3 to 5 sentences. 10 out of the right sentences, 10 out of the 20 words. I assume that means inside the 3 to 5 sentences that are there. They will hear about different feelings and emotions. Students will fill out the worksheet. All feelings are okay. Okay, students will do that. Then the micro skills, students will write sentences, writing skills, number 2, 3, and 5. You should probably wrote those out as to what those writing skills were going to be. 6, students are listening to the teacher reading the story at a pace that students will understand. What story are they going to be reading? I don't remember any reading of a story. I see all feelings are okay. That's a worksheet. That's a worksheet. Which 2 books? After reading the 2 books, the teacher will discover, okay, so my feelings and me and that. All right. So, but does that have much to do with your objectives? Speech in therapy, able to talk about what's happening. Student will be able to express and explain feelings. Okay. So you could use the readings if you like. That's fine. And then again, you need to be writing down what those skills are, not just the numbers. And student that listening skills, we'll write down. Okay. Macro skills, should have written those out. Be specific. Scoring, the checklist and the rubric. Results reported to the student. You're going to report them. Assignment, assessment items, use of vocabulary, answering the questions asked, okay. Filling out the graphic organizers, okay. Writing sentences is okay. Student instructions. During the mock interview, the teacher will ask the student to introduce themselves. The teacher will be answering questions about, the students will. Now, okay. When asking questions about school, student will go over all feelings, assessment 2, graphic organizer. Okay. So it looks like you probably have most of the things that you need here, except that it was so far late that it wasn't acceptable. Very much like I told you initially, you could get it done, you could have the extra time, and then it would not be accepted if it was late. It was 14 days later than we had agreed to. You had an 8-day extension. You turned in a partial. It wasn't really complete. A bunch of things missing. And then you waited 14 more days, it looks like, to actually turn it in. So it looks like you probably have most of the things that you need here when you get to part 4. However, you were missing most of the things that were required. It said to have your worksheets and your graphic organizers. You had those. That was 5 out of the 10 points. 10 points. would have required you to also have the checklists and the rubrics that you mentioned. Those weren't there. You didn't have a written plan of how you were going to do it, how you were going to do the assessment. That was 5 points that you didn't get. And you didn't give the written assessor's instructions in case you weren't going to be the person to do the assessment. That's why you ended up with 5 points out of 20. And I should have taken off more points than I did, but I wasn't going to take you down to a 0, but you just turned it in too late. Almost everything was late. Even one of the discussion boards. So my suggestion, once again, don't take more courses than you can take and you can easily do. That's number one. Number two, make sure you pass 341. Number three, take 340 before you take 343. And then by the time you get around ready to take 343, it may be somebody else who's teaching the course and you'll work better with them than you have with me. But that's where we're at. So at the moment, you got 190 points. I'm sorry, that's not true. You've got 90 points out of 200. So that's 45%. If you do part 5, because you can only do the part that is yours, because you don't have a peer to do anymore. That would get you a few, and then the discussion board, but you're still way under 60%.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So get 340 out of your way before you try this again.
Okay.
I don't think you have any of the College of Education courses done yet, right?
No, right.
So that's another thing. So you don't really have any teaching coursework background. Given that, it's pretty hard to do assessments.
Mm. Okay.
Okay? All right. Better luck next time, but get yourself prepared for it first.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
See you later.
Okay.